This week, we continue our Great Wealth Transfer series with a focus on the ways people can transfer assets to the next generation.
WAFF 48's Sean Dowling spoke to a financial expert, Marshall Clay from the Welch Group, about making the right money moves.
Moving money from bank accounts is one thing, but shifting assets to specific people and organizations is another. Here to break down everything you need to know about transferring your assets, Marshall Clay from the Welch Group. Marshall, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you, Sean.
What do people need to know about this part 2, money transferring of wealth?
Yeah, so last week we talked about this great wealth transfer, and I wanted to kind of hone in on the specifics of how this is done in sort of like a next of kin situation. So there's really 3 ways that you can transfer wealth to the next generation. The first way is, and what's most common, what people are most familiar with, is a will, right? You create a will, you pass away, your money goes to the next generation. The other way is via title. So I think our viewers are probably familiar with joint, brokerage accounts or joint checking accounts. So if you have a joint checking account with, say, your spouse, if you pass away, that account automatically becomes your spouse's. And so the third way is via beneficiary designation. I'm sure our viewers are probably familiar with this because this applies to insurance policies. It applies to 401ks or IRAs or Roth IRAs. So you actually establish, like in the plan, hey, where do you want this money to go? And so those are kind of the 3 ways. And so you want to make sure that you kind of look at all of those areas of your particular financial situation and make sure that the assets are transferring the way that you want them.
And then when should you start doing this?
Yeah, I mean, certainly as quickly as possible. And I think there's a lot of sort of psychological obstacles that people go through when they start going down this planning. No one likes to confront their own mortality. It's not the happiest subject in the world, but it's one of those things, and I kind of tell people that these types of documents and titling and all this stuff doesn't really matter until it matters, and then it's the only thing that matters, right? Because if you don't have a will, if you don't have these beneficiary designations, it can cost your estate a lot of money, it can cost your heirs a lot of money. So obviously, as earlier you can start, the better. The second thing I would emphasize is expect less than perfection. Okay, most people go into these scenarios thinking, okay, I'm going to create the perfect plan. You will never create the perfect plan. There's always scenarios that you can think of that will cause you to second guess how you're sending wealth to the next generation. I would say don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Make sure you get that 85 to 90% solution. And then if you want to, you can change these documents as long as you're alive. Now, after you pass away, obviously it's hard to adjust them, but while you're alive, you can always adjust these documents.
Marshall Clay from the Welch Group, appreciate your time.
Appreciate you.